Once again, welcome back to your soft skill classes. I am Neetu and I will be taking you through the next chapter that you have here, and that is negotiation skills. It is one of the most important skills that you would be learning, and although it is something that we have been doing all our lives since we were little kids, this is something that we are most reluctant to go ahead and perform, and this basically is the issue that we are going to try and address. You are most welcome on this journey with me, and I hope that today's lesson help you in becoming better negotiators. All right. So, moving ahead, like I said, if you would have dealt with your little nieces and nephews, if you would have dealt with any of the children, they are the best negotiators, they are born that ways. They would know how to get their way out of you any which way they want, right. So, negotiation, the art of negotiation is a skill that it is innately inside you. Over a period of time, due to various conditionings, you start feeling a little embarrassed about negotiating. However, this is one of the most crucial skills to deal with life in general. Everything that you communicate is a negotiation of some form or the other. If you are good in negotiating, you get a better deal from life for yourself, right. All right. So, one of the most important things that I have seen in my own experience when we are dealing with negotiations, it is not negative emotions, it is nego emotions. Do not be afraid of negotiating, do not take emotions in negotiations as something that you don't do or you are scared of. The more scared you are of opening up with your emotions, your deal won't be in your favor, right. So, as Christopher Voss says, emotions aren't the obstacles to successful negotiations, they are the means. Once you are able to understand somebody's emotions, you are able to negotiate better for both the parties involved, right. Okay. Remember this. Now, where exactly in the whole gamut of things negotiation falls? So, there are three things that we basically know about. Negotiation is a part of influencing others, persuading is also a part of influencing others, and there is another thing which is something that we do on a janpath or on a any roadside shoppe that we are shopping in, which is called bargaining. Now, let me take bargaining completely aside. Bargaining is something which generally involves monetary value. Most of the times it is I will give it to you in 100, no, I will give only 70 for that, no, I will not give it to you for less than, let us say 95, okay fine, let us close the deal at 80. That is what bargaining is about. More often than not, it is considered, it is just it is just comprised of the monetary aspect. What is persuasion? Now, you need to understand the difference between persuasion and negotiation, and why these are two different tools of influencing that we use. Negotiation has a more stronger point of connect with the other party. So, what is persuasion? Persuasion is a line of reasoned argument. You are not pushing someone to believe in you without any reason, without any logic. Persuasion is when you have valid argument, you are presenting it to the other person, and the other person is supposed to understand that argument and agree to that, because you are placing that argument with a lot of assertiveness. You are trying to get your points through across in a calm and assertive manner. Here, you are breaking up the points, you are using a positive language, you are emphasizing the positive aspects of, again, the points to remember everywhere is your argument. Here, the other person is not actually getting a chance to go ahead and put his point of view. You are trying to make your point of view with assertiveness, with politeness going and trying to make it true to the other person. On the other hand, negotiation is listening. So, the very way it begins is it is listening to the other party's point of view. It is trying and understanding what the other party wants to say, right. getting an agreement acceptable to both the sides. So, you are trying to create a win-win situation. Here both the parties that are par with each other, right? Knowing when to compromise, making concessions for the agreement. Here both of you are ready to go back a little or come forth a little as the communication continues, all right? And using open body language, open and encouraging body language, right? So, the basic difference here is both of them are a part of influencing, both of them you will be handling objections and you will be having your arguments and you will be trying to challenge the views of the others. However, this is more inclusive and this is more exclusive. Here the other party has to agree to you if they are able to buy your logic and you have been able to persuade them. Here both the parties tend to win in the end because the argument has been stated well by both of them. Okay? All right. Some of the things I will quickly go through this particular slide is minding your body language. There are 6 things that you should understand while you are negotiating. One of them is minding your body language. So, always pay attention to your body language, have an open body language, do not be over eager to impress, do not be impatient, do not hurry up too much or show a body language as if you do not have time to listen to the other person, because the moment your body starts showing these kind of symptoms of impatience, you have already lost the negotiation. Okay? Always remember, it is a good idea when you are on the negotiating table to have a face-to-face conversation. It is not, it will not work in your favor if it is more on the phone or the email, right? Try and have the negotiation portion of your business cycle face to face. You will be able to convince better, you will be in a better position to understand the non-verbal body language behind each and every sentence and word that the other person is saying. Okay? Most importantly, try and understand the other person's objectives. What is he trying to get? What do they feel that they have won? What is it that is there in this whole thing for them? That is their emotion about the deal, right? Emotion is your weapon and it is not something that you want to run away from. Okay? Now, set your goals in advance. Know what you want. What is your emotion towards the deal? It is very important to have a clear goal as to what you want to negotiate about. Okay? And then this is really going to help you a lot. Going back to the lesson on listening, listen more than you speak. The less you engage in talking, the more you will learn about the client's perspective of how this deal should go, what is their need, how much depth or how much necessity do they have of this particular thing, based on which you will be able to negotiate yourself a better deal and something that is a win-win for both the parties. Most importantly, and this is something that we all refrain from engaging in, is be prepared to walk away. Having a bad deal on your plate is worse than having no deal. Trust me, to carry it, it uses up energy, it uses up finances, it brings down morals of not only you but your whole team, right? So, having a bad deal on your plate is better, it is, you know, far better than having a bad deal. So, having no deal on your plate is better than having a bad deal, right? Okay? That is something you want to remember. All right. So, what are the ways that we negotiate? This is something that I wanted to share with you. This is of course a diagram about negotiation matrix, and what does basically negotiation comprise of? There are 2 things that we are trying to work on. One is what exactly my needs are being met or not. So, my needs are being met or not, and your needs are being met or not. So, this is the client and this is you, right? Both your needs are being met or not, and this is basically the matrix which tells you. So, can you live constantly by avoiding negotiation? I don't think so. If you keep avoiding negotiation, I lose and you lose, and both of us lose. When we look into our personal lives, when we look into things that have relationships that have gone bad, most of the times there was no communication, there was no middle way that was found, and there was no negotiating. So we were both trying to avoid a communication where we could have negotiated something better for both of us, right? So avoiding communication is a lose-lose for both the parties. One party accommodating too much, one party giving in too much in a deal always results in the exhaustion in the end. Finally, if one party keeps losing all the time, it is again on the lower end of the cycle. It is not going to work in the long run, right? Then competition. This is exactly opposite to this particular accommodation, where one person is very, very competitive and is always trying to win from the other person, and again it doesn't work out for both the parties in the long run. Certain situations, well and good, but if this is a relationship which means long term for you, you don't want to compete all the time. The best two solutions in negotiation always are, and be it anything, be it your personal, be it your professional lives, the best two solutions that work for both the parties is compromise and collaborate. Collaborate is one of the best solutions, because it is a win-win for both the parties. We both come to an equal understanding, we accommodate each other's requirements, and we are able to work together towards achieving our goals. There cannot be anything better than that. If that doesn't work, we compromise. You give in a little and I give in a little, and together we are able to leave some points aside, accommodate a little, and then compromise, and then move ahead, right? So these are some of the ways that we generally go ahead and negotiate. Remember, what I want you to take away from this slide is avoiding a confrontation, avoiding a stressful situation, avoiding a negotiation will in the long run harm your relationships no matter what. So that really is not a very good way of looking at things, right? Okay. This is again the various approaches that we have already discussed. Relationship is one of the most important aspects of negotiation. It is very important to have some strategies up your sleeves to lead the conversation towards a win-win outcome. Every time wanting something for yourself, every time having a selfish approach is not going to help you in the long run. In a professional relationship, what will happen is that you will have an image then of of a wolf who wants to hog the whole meat, basically, of a person who doesn't care about what the other person feels. And in the market, that is not a very good that's not a very good image to have. You want to have an image where you're known as as a diplomatic conversationalist, where you are able to see everyone's needs and requirements and you're able to work on that, right? Okay. So relationships are very important in negotiation. Again, they are based on emotions, and you are responsible for understanding the emotion and arriving at a win-win situation. However, at this moment I will also like to add that if there is too much stepping up on your feet, be prepared to walk away. Know your terms and conditions, know what you can accommodate and what you cannot. A bad deal in the long run is going to seep away your finances, and that is not going to be a good run for you, right? All right. So Dale Carnegie is one of my favorite author, and what he says is that when dealing with people, remember, you're not dealing with creatures of logic. They do not understand logic, but you're dealing with creatures of emotion. Hiding away from emotion, hiding away from feelings like anger, discomfort, criticism. not going to work for you in the long run. Okay? All right. So, what are the rules and how to prepare for a negotiation? What exactly is the preparation that you need? What are the practical elements? So, where is it going to happen? What is the place that you are going to conduct this particular meeting? What are the things that you need to start the negotiation? Try not to have this particular meeting in a very busy coffee shop where everyone will be disturbing, where people will not be able to understand and read each other, right? So, the physical element and the practical element has a very important role. Rules of engagement is try and focus on the plan, on the process that you are trying to establish or negotiate, and not on people, not on person. Try and focus on the work that is being negotiated, and do not try and mix it up with negative feelings or emotions or people in general. The conversation should be focused on the work. Terms and conditions. Both the parties should have a clear understanding, and the best would be to have it written down. So, both of the parties have a written down understanding of the term sheet that we are trying to negotiate, and what are those things that are the best alternative to negotiated terms for you. So, what is your BATNA and what is their BATNA, and then that is how you go ahead and prepare and plan for a negotiation. I will come to salary negotiations later on. However, at this point in time, I want you to focus and understand that this applies even to your salary negotiations, right? Let's put this on the side and let's come back to this later. But please understand, planning and preparing even for a comfortable salary negotiation is something that you need to do much ahead and much in advance before going into that negotiation discussion. Okay? All right. Know your position. Now, this is one of the important aspects that you want to focus on. So, what exactly is that you want? A breakdown of your must-haves. You have to understand what is it that you cannot absolutely compromise with, right? So, in a salary negotiation, if you have a requirement of not relocating to a certain location, that is something you cannot compromise with. You have to know this clearly, no matter how badly it hurts, right? Then your escalation points. What is it that you can give in? What is it that you can do away with? What is it that you can relax? And what is it that will completely make you walk away from this particular negotiation? So, you need to understand all these things. They are pain points, but they need to be understood before you go into the communication regarding negotiation. The same aspects are also applicable when you are trying to understand the other party. So, what do we know about this supplier, this industry, this particular job profile? What is it that is required to be done? It is very important for us to know that. What is their basic requirement, right? What do they want? Does it overlap with what we want anywhere? What are the points where we are comfortable with each other? What are the points where there is a difference of opinion? It is very important to know all that. Then where are their pain points and how can you address it? This is where the emotions are involved, and you are able to sell your point well, and you are going to negotiate a much better deal if you understand what are their pain points and how you are addressing them, right? So, what is the best alternative to negotiated agreement? What is it that they will be able to give in to you despite what has already been negotiated, right? So, it is very important to prepare all this even before you go in for the negotiation. On the negotiation table, not knowing something already about this particular deal is going to be working against you and not for you. It is very difficult to have a rebuttal ready when you are not prepared. Okay. All right. So, let me just reiterate this for you. Always aim for a collaborative. This is the best approach. Always aim for a collaborative approach. Be prepared. Work towards an agreement that is fair to both the sides, and focus outcome, not on the person. Focus on the outcome and not on the person. I am repeating it once again. outcome and not the person. No matter how much you dislike someone, you can still have a very good negotiated deal if you focus on the work itself, right? Okay. And if it is not going well, if it is not working out, take time out, regroup, reframe whatever you have to, but do not get a bad deal for yourself. We will discuss this further as to how it applies to your salary package and how it applies to you as a professional in the coming slides. Okay. So, we are talking about everyone I have seen feels very difficult, it finds it very difficult to negotiate. There is a sense of discomfort whenever we are talking about negotiating our salary, negotiating a better deal for ourselves. Sometimes we are not able to. Why does this happen? Sometimes you are not able to express ourselves better. One of them, of course, is not really knowing your value, not knowing your worth, and sometimes, or most of the important times, it is a habitual expensive persuasion style, and we will just now discuss the styles. Habitually having a expensive style means that you are giving in a lot, you are avoiding a lot, you are compromising a lot, and you are accommodating a lot. In the long run, it will not work for you. Okay. You will have to learn to challenge these styles that you have mentally conditioned yourself to. And last but not the least, this is very important. Sometimes the relationships have more value than the commercial value of the deal. So, sometimes you will agree to a bad deal even if it is not commercially feasible for you to go ahead and take over that particular deal. The relationship is more important, so you will give more value to that particular deal. Also, this is something that is a part of our personality, and trust me, most people have an issue with that. We are not assertive enough, we are afraid again of hurting somebody's feeling. These are the things that on the negotiation table are completely against us. This is something that I am trying to make you aware that it is okay to say no. If you cannot go ahead with the deal, if it does not work for you, it is okay to say no, right? Okay. So, how do we generally go ahead and negotiate? Some of the things that I have already discussed are this: persuasive negotiation are in this, you are generally very self-centered, you are trying to go ahead and make your point through contractual negotiations, avoiding negotiations. And basically, when we look at this particular chart, the importance of relationship is high, you will be more accommodating and you will be more collaborative. If the outcome is only thing that you will be looking at, then you will be more opportunistic, there will be more selfishness in the negotiation, and it is not going to work for you in the long run. All right. All right. So, these are some of the ways that we negotiate. Studies have proven that generally this is where we go ahead and lose our game. Most of the times we settle for bargaining and we settle for compromise. Why does this happen? Go back to the previous slide and understand. We do not understand our value. We do not understand what exactly is that that is hurting us. What exactly is that we need? Sometimes we give more importance to relationships. Sometimes it is just a little bit of commercial advantage, but losing in the larger game, right? So, bargaining and compromise are the tools that we mostly use. However, what we should focus on more is our intuition. If your intuition is high, you will be able to understand the emotion and give proper logic. The influence, the negotiation, the deal is far better when you involve emotion in it, when you involve a deeper understanding of what you need and what they need, and if both of you are on the same platform, that is when a good deal is struck, right? Okay. All right. So, once again I am coming to this dilemma. This particular slide talks about what are the dilemmas that a person feels when they are trying to negotiate. So, the nature of the relationship has a very important weightage when you are trying to negotiate. Sometimes that has more importance than the deal, and we give in because of that. These are the dilemmas, these are the questions that we ask, these are the questions that make us give in or accept whatever terms are being given to us. So, whether to trust or to distrust the source of information, from where we are getting the information of likes and dislikes, the style of the negotiator. So, are you the bargaining type? Are you the all gung-ho type, wherein you are taking in the whole limelight and not giving in? Do you have the ability to understand emotions, and do you have the ability to go ahead and accommodate? So, what is your style? Then the value creation. If you are aware of the value that you are creating for the particular client, you will be in a better stead to count and to bring in your points and get them to agree. Distribution, fairness or self. Do I want to keep the whole pie to myself, or I am ready to share something with the others? All right. Position, interdependent or dependent. Do we have an interdependent relationship, or is this my call all? That's it, right? And the process. So, these are certain dilemmas that you have. Now, the most important part, and this is something that I want you to discuss. A lot of students are coming up to me and telling me that, can we go ahead and negotiate? Is it okay for us to go ahead and negotiate if that is required at the time when we are giving our job interviews, and then how to go about and do that. Okay, so let's look at some of the figures. Is it worth asking for a higher salary? This is a figure for recent grads, and not negotiating. Most of them are not negotiating. 62% have said that they do not negotiate. 30% say of them are negotiating. Out of that, 34% of women negotiate, 44% of men negotiate, 74% of the employers, remember this, 74% of the employers have room to increase about 5 to 10% if you are able to negotiate well. Okay? So, we have around 5 to 10% of leverage, and if you give us a good argument, maybe there is a chance of negotiating better. All right. So, these are some of the numbers for you. When you look at this particular slide, I will just take you through that in just for you to understand. You do the mathematics. Jim accepts $45,000 and he receives 1% raise every year, right? So, he did not negotiate at all, and Jane negotiated in the same particular job role for a salary hike in the beginning for 5,000 more than Jim. She is also receiving a raise of 1% yearly. However, she negotiates a 4% raise every 3 years. Every 3 years. And look at the difference that they have just after 5 years. There is a gap of $6,816 that Jane makes more just because she negotiated at the early stage for a better salary, right? So, if you get a chance, most of the times the packages are redefined, but if you get a chance to negotiate, do not cringe away from taking that opportunity, right? Do your research properly, be prepared. Go ahead and go to Glassdoor, go to Indeed.com, see what is the peer group in the same job profile getting, and talk to people who are working in that company, see what is the entry level amount that they are getting, and do not hesitate to ask for a better deal, because in the long run your worth is decided by you, and you need to know what is your worth so that you negotiate better. All right. Okay. So, some of the reasons why you do not negotiate is, I got a raise before I needed to ask for one. I am uncomfortable negotiating for a salary. I don't want to be perceived as pushy. I am worried about losing my job, and I have always been happy with my salary. These are some of the arguments that the millennials give us, and the numbers are in front of you. However, if we go back to the last slide that we looked at, if you're able to make yourself negotiate a better deal at the beginning of your job, specifically when you start better, you will always end up in a better range than the rest of the crowd, and you want that for yourself, right? All right. 4 steps to negotiating your salary. I've already discussed this. Let me just reiterate this for you. Please know your value, know your worth. Know the things that you can actually bring to the table. So, when you're negotiating for your salary, what are the skill sets that you have? How do they apply to this particular job description? How do you bring value to the company? And why can't they say no to you? This is something that you need to know. You need to know your target salary and benefits from Indeed.com, then Glassdoor.com. Some of these sites give you details of how much salary the same profile is drawing, and you can always base your arguments on that particular research. Have a strategy. Rehearse those questions in your mind. Think about what you're going to say and how you're going to say, and practice the tone in which you're going to present your case. It is very important. Practice, practice, practice. This is something that you will require to do for the rest of your professional life. So, practice and get yourself a better deal. Some of the do's and don'ts that you want to be very, very particular about while having the negotiation are that you want to consider the timing and the deflection, response with appreciation, start with points on which you both agree. Research and use benchmarks. Do not just say a figure or a number that is out of the blue. Have proper research behind where your number is coming from. Then use a win-win analogy, establish a report, use effective communication. Everything that you do depends upon how you're trying to communicate your point of view. Do they get something out of giving you that 5 or 10% extra? Yes. They have that kind of a leverage. You want that for yourself, but if you're not prepared well, it would not be in your kitty. All right. What you do not want to do is counter with initial salary first. Do not just go ahead and jump in and say that, this is the salary that I want, or I won't work for you. All right. Become emotional or defensive. There is no reason why you should be getting defensive about asking for your salary. Use personal leads for negotiating. I have a sick person at home and I need this kind of a salary. These kind of arguments are unprofessional. You don't want to bring it to the table. Patronize the employer, talk too much and show your ego. I am worth this, and if you don't give it to me, I will get it from the market any which way. This is not the kind of language that we are going to use on the negotiation table. Remember, respect emotions and respect both the needs, yours as well as theirs, and that is when you collaborate and get the deal in your favor, right? So, thank you once again for spending this time with me. If you have any further questions, I will be more than happy to help you out. Please put your questions in comment, and thank you once again for this journey. All the best.